It begins with a simple, almost uncomfortable question. If soda really did harm you, you'd feel it right away, right? And that's exactly where almost everyone goes wrong. Because the biggest problem with soda, it's not what you feel, that's what you doesn't feel. While most people believe that if there is no pain or nausea, everything is fine, the body is already working silently to deal with something it doesn't recognize as normal. The good news is that there is a simple way to stop this process before it progresses. And it all starts with understanding what happens in the first few hours when it still seems harmless. And that's why he's going to show you what happens now. At the exact moment of the first sip, when the mistake seems small, but the body already senses that something has just changed. In the first sip, nothing seems wrong. He brings the glass to his mouth, tastes the sweet, cold, pleasant flavor. The brain interprets it as something good, almost a reward. It's quick, easy, and doesn't cause pain, and that's exactly why the mistake goes unnoticed. While the person is still swallowing the soda, the body has already understood that this is not just an ordinary drink. Inside the body, sensors immediately kick in. The sugar arrives too quickly, the acids descend forcefully, and the stomach senses it will have more work than usual. Even without clear signals, the body begins to defend itself. It releases substances to try to balance what has just entered, as if it were dealing with something foreign. On the outside, everything continues as normal. No warnings, no pain, no feeling of danger. On the inside, the body is already in exertion mode. It's this silence that deceives almost everyone. The person goes through the day believing that nothing has happened, when, in fact, something important has already begun. And in the following minutes, this process becomes even more intense. What seemed like just a sip begins to affect the blood, the brain, and the body's energy, even if no one notices. In the first few minutes after taking a sip, the mind is still calm. The person thinks it's over, that it was just a quick refreshment, but the body doesn't think that way. Even before the drink fully reaches the stomach, small sensors scattered inside go on alert. They realize that the sugar came too quickly and warn, something needs to be controlled now. The body then rushes to act before the mind can even perceive anything. Hormones are released, the blood begins to change, and the body tries to organize the mess that has just entered. It's as if someone threw many pieces out of place, and the body has to tidy everything up quickly, without making a sound. On the outside, the person appears normal. They talk, walk, use their cell phone, they don't feel pain, they don't feel nauseous, and that's exactly what's deceiving. The body is already working hard, while the mind believes that everything is under control. But this initial effort sets the stage for something bigger. In a short time, the sugar will hit the bloodstream with full force, and then the effect begins to appear where no one expects, in energy, mood, and even the brain. Between 15 and 30 minutes later, something curious happens. The person may feel a sudden surge of energy, a slight invigoration, as if everything has become easier. The brain loves this. To it, that sugar spike seems like good news, almost an unexpected reward. That's why many people associate soda with energy or a good mood. But while this sensation appears, the body begins to worry. Blood sugar rises too quickly, like a wave that arrives without warning. To avoid problems, the body releases substances to try to lower this excess. It's a great effort, made in a hurry, like trying to brake a bicycle going down a very steep hill. From the outside, it seems like a positive thing. On the inside, it's an imbalance. The body wasn't made to handle such rapid spikes. It can manage to cope, but each time it happens, it expends energy and becomes a little more worn out. And when that peak begins to fall, something changes. The good feeling disappears, and the body enters another phase. It is at this moment that the stomach begins to feel the real impact, and what comes next surprises many people. About an hour later, the person no longer even remembers the soda. The glass is left behind, the taste has disappeared from the mouth, and the feeling is that everything has returned to normal. But inside the body, the story is quite different. The stomach is still working hard. The acids are more active, trying to break down what went in, while gases begin to slowly form. It's a silent process. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't warn. It doesn't demand attention. Sometimes there's just a slight heaviness in the stomach, a burp, or a discomfort so minor that many people ignore it. But these signs are like whispers from the body saying that something wasn't as simple as it seemed. Meanwhile, the body continues to expend energy to maintain balance. It tries to protect the stomach walls, deal with the excess, and prevent the problem from worsening. All of this happens without the person realizing the effort involved. And when this process seems almost resolved, an unexpected effect occurs. A few hours later, the body starts asking for more energy, and that's when that strange hunger appears, that sudden craving for sweets. What happens next explains why this repeats itself so often. 2 to 3 hours later, something strange begins to happen. The energy that appeared before simply disappears. The person may feel sudden fatigue, difficulty concentrating, or even a hunger that doesn't make much sense. It seems like the body is asking for something, but nobody knows exactly what. Many think it's just a lack of food or sleep. In reality, the body is trying to recover. After the rapid sugar spike came the crash. It's like running up a flight of stairs and suddenly being out of breath. The body used a lot of energy to correct the excess and now feels the impact of that. That's why the craving for more sweets, more coffee, or another soft drink arises. It's not a choice, it's a reaction. This is one of the most dangerous moments because it creates a cycle. The person believes they need something else to feel good again, without realizing that this is exactly what caused the problem. And while that desire arises, the body continues working, silently. Even hours later, it still hasn't finished the job, and this hidden effort keeps progressing throughout the day. Even 6 hours later, when the day has already passed and everything seems normal, the body hasn't finished its work. The person walks, talks, laughs, gets things done, and believes that soda is a thing of the past. But inside, the body continues to be busy trying to put things in order. It's still adjusting levels, compensating for excesses, and trying to return to the high balance that existed before. It's like tidying a room after a quick mess. From the outside, it looks clean, but there are still things out of place. The body does this silently, without drawing attention, expending energy without warning. That's why sometimes you experience mild tiredness, a feeling of sluggishness, or even irritation for no clear reason. The most dangerous thing is this appearance of normalcy. It makes the person think that nothing happened and that they can repeat everything, again without consequences. But each repetition leaves the body a little more tired of compensating. And when night falls, something curious begins to change. Even hours later, the body still reacts. And what happens around noon helps to explain why this habit becomes so difficult to break. 12 hours later, the body seems to have calmed down. The person eats dinner, relaxes, goes to sleep thinking that everything is behind them. But inside, something important has happened. The body learned from what it received. It registered that quick sugar as an easy source of energy, even knowing that it took too much work to compensate. That's why, at that moment, strange cravings arise. A desire for sweets at night, hunger at odd hours, that idea of just one more sip tomorrow. It's not a lack of control. It's the body repeating a pattern it has just experienced. It adapts to what it receives frequently, even when it's not good. While a person sleeps, the body continues to adjust. Levels trying to keep everything balanced until the next day. Nothing hurts, nothing alarms. The silence continues to deceive. But when 24 hours are up, something becomes clear. Even without visible signs, small changes have been left behind. And understanding what really remains in the body after a whole day explains why this habit seems so harmless, and at the same time so difficult to break. After 24 hours, everything seems exactly the same. The person wakes up, goes about their routine, and doesn't even remember the soda from the day before. The body also doesn't give clear signs of a problem. No pain, no warning, nothing that draws attention. That's where the danger lies. Because even without any noise, something has been left behind. Small changes happened internally. Nothing extreme, nothing immediate. Just silent adjustments that accumulate over time. The body needed to work harder, expend extra energy, and adapt to something that wasn't necessary. On its own, one day seems irrelevant. But the body doesn't forget easily. It's like folding a piece of paper multiple times. One fold doesn't make a difference, but little by little the mark remains. Each similar episode reinforces the path the body learns to follow. And the more this is repeated, the harder it becomes to return to the initial state. And this is exactly where almost everyone makes the same mistake, believing that because nothing happened in one day, nothing ever will. The next step explains why this idea deceives so many people and how this habit grows unnoticed. The most common mistake isn't drinking soda. It's thinking that if there's no pain, dizziness, or nausea, then nothing has happened. The person uses their own body as proof. I'm fine, so it's not harmful. But the body doesn't always warn you when something is wrong. Often, it simply compensates silently. It's like stepping on a floor that's slowly sinking. At first, nothing breaks. Nothing stands out. The body adjusts, exerts extra force, and keeps functioning. The problem is that this force has a limit. Each time it needs to compensate, it uses a little more than it should. And this doesn't happen overnight. Over time, the body begins to accept this as routine. Not because it's good, but because it learns to survive the excess. That's how small habits turn into big problems, without warning. And that's precisely why the next step is so important. When soda ceases to be an exception and becomes a habit, the body changes in an even more profound way. And understanding this can completely change how someone makes that choice. When soda ceases to be a rare treat and becomes part of everyday life, the body begins to react differently. At first, it tries to compensate for each sugar spike, each drop in energy. But over time, it understands that it has become routine. And then something silent happens. The body begins to adapt to the excess. It's as if the body changes its internal rules. Hunger appears. Earlier, the craving for sweets becomes stronger, and energy levels become dependent on these quick spikes. The person doesn't even notice the change. They just feel more tired, have a stronger urge to snack, and find it harder to be without something sweet nearby. It seems normal, but it wasn't like that before. Gradually, the body stops reacting as before. What was once a shock to the body becomes a habit, and that's exactly what makes the habit dangerous. It doesn't startle, it settles in. Slowly. One day it seems harmless, but many consecutive days tell a different story. If soda already causes all this, imagine what happens with a food that seems even more common and innocent: white bread. In the next video, he will show what happens inside the body in the first 24 hours after eating white bread, and why almost no one suspects this effect. If this video opened your eyes to something that seemed normal, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. The next episode might change the way you see what's on your plate every day.